All right, I see we still have some people coming in, but we're going to go ahead and get started here. So welcome to today's episode of the Uplink. My name is Jacob Swin. I'm the product marketing manager at Helium. And today I've got Killian and Andreas here with me from AIRICA. And AIRICA is an indoor air quality company providing like office buildings, public transport, schools, restaurants, all those types of things with recommendations regarding room health. And I know being on the West Coast in the United States, air quality is a big issue right now with all the fires. Seems like every summer. So this is something I'm super interested to hear and excited to have them talk and demonstrate what AIRICA can do. So quick, I did some intros there. I'm going to do a small little piece about Helium, talk about how Helium and AIRICA started working together, and then I'm going to turn it over to Killian, and he's going to go through intro, overview, and kind of their story and some demonstrations for AIRICA, and then we'll do a little Q&A at the end. So if you have questions at all, feel free to drop those in the chat, and we'll try to pull from those. Andreas may be typing and responding to some questions if he feels like it. Otherwise, we can save some of them for the end. All right, so a quick little background info on Helium here. It was founded in 2013 with a mission to make it easier to build decentralized wireless networks. And today we are the largest public IoT network in the world, which is really cool. And we've been able to do that by being backed by some of the best VC firms in the world. And so we're extremely grateful for people from like Khosla Ventures, Mark Benioff, all of those different VC firms that have helped out along the way. So thank you very much for that. Helium itself is an incentive-built network. So basically anyone, anywhere can be rewarded for creating wireless coverage. So hotspot hosts can earn H&T both for creating coverage and then for basically usage on the network. When devices use their hotspot to connect to the internet, we're getting a lot more use cases, a lot of really cool solutions and applications that we're seeing show up every day on the network. And all of this allows an affordable nationwide wireless network to be rapidly built. So Helium itself, like I said, the largest public IoT network in the world, really accelerated rapid coverage and growth. We're at over 175,000 hotspots in over 16,000 cities in 124 countries today. I updated those yesterday. I'm sure they're a little bit low now. It seems like we're growing thousands of hotspots coming online a day. And we also have over 400K hotspots on order right now. So more and more coming online every single day. So the network is growing. We also have a really diverse ecosystem of both customers and hardware makers. Low costs, less than $1 per sensor per year for any device that's sending data every 5 minutes. So there's very low cost to start using the Helium network. And then it's just very accessible. You can use it with basically any compatible off-the-shelf LoRaWAN device or sensor. So it's super easy to get started and get going on the network, not a high barrier of entry. Like I mentioned, we have a diverse ecosystem of hardware makers. These have been approved by the community through HIP-19. And more of these are coming on board as well too. So this ecosystem is growing. We have some like pictured here, Rack, Bobcat, Nebra, Synchrorbit, among others. But like I said, more and more are being added to our ecosystem quickly. For users, we have a growing ecosystem of users as well. This is just a few of them listed: Conserve, Lone Star, Nowie, Lime. A lot of different solutions being provided by these users. Our ecosystem page, our Who Uses Helium, I actually think we renamed it, is being updated very quickly to add users on there. Looks like McKenna just dropped that into the chat, so you can take a look at who is using the Helium network and what they're using it for and how they're providing solutions. We also have a lot of new features and products coming out on the network. And one of the big ones right now, Console 2.0. So if anyone is a network user and has been using Console and you haven't checked out Console 2.0, I really suggest you do that. Really user-friendly, very simple to use. The new Flows workspace is very, very user-friendly, very easy to visualize and see your devices sending data, how they're sending data, if that data is being decoded. all of that. We also just released the new coverage feature last week. So that kind of allows for users to get more visibility in what their hotspots are doing, where they're sending data, what devices they're hearing, and just being able to kind of optimize hotspot placement and make sure hotspots are doing exactly what you want them to do. And McKenna, again, just dropped a link to the blog talking about the new coverage feature in the chat there, so you can check that out. So to get started with us, learn more about Helium, my email is down on the left, jacob@helium.com. Shoot me a message, ask me any questions. Mark Phillips is our Vice President of Business Development. His email, just mark@helium.com. We also have a very big presence on Twitter and Discord, especially Discord. I think we're over 100,000 or approaching 100,000 Discord members. So a lot of great conversations, a lot of good resources there. Check that out. Also go to GitHub, github.com/helium to learn more about the network. All right, so before I turn it over to Killian, a little background on how AIRICA and Helium got started. Lucas, who is AIRICA's CEO and co-founder, unfortunately he's out sick today, but he heard about Helium around a year ago from a good friend working in the IoT space over in Zurich. And he was really busy with development and production at AIRICA, and he didn't really get a chance to look at Helium at the time. After the AIRICA app launched, he immediately realized the potential and what a powerful combination there could be between AIRICA and the Helium network. So now we have an AIRICA and Helium partnership, and I think we're both really excited about what can come from that. So with that, I'm going to stop sharing and I'm going to turn it over to Killian to tell us a little bit about what AIRICA has and what they can do.
So hi everybody, thanks for tuning in. I am quickly going to switch over to the presentation. This is our team. So most of us also have worked in the indoor air quality space, which is our main focus, for over a year or 2 years. And yeah, so I'm going to give you a quick introduction into just generally why indoor air quality matters so much to us. We spend around 93% of our time in enclosed spaces, and according to the EPA, this air that we breathe in daily, 93% of the time, has around 5 times worse air quality than your general outdoor air. And so, yeah, this is why we focus on indoor air quality. Then other studies suggest that the productivity and your focus levels can be reduced by more than around 70%. So this differs with the type of concentration, but you can see why this could be so important to schools or universities, also office spaces. And then with COVID-19, another big factor came into play, that the chances of viral infections can rise by up to 97%. And now with the return to the home office and everything, this is a very important factor. Now, our main areas of operation right now is still B2B. We are focusing, so we started off with focusing mostly on office spaces and meeting rooms and co-working spaces. And now with the health aspect of it, we started focusing on restaurants, hotels, schools. We have healthcare. We have healthcare clinics in Switzerland we are working together with. And healthcare is a match made in heaven, because they spend millions of dollars each year just to prevent viral infections for high-risk patients with open wounds and stuff like this, where viral infection risk is extremely high. So this would be a perfect partner. Now, at our core, we have 2 different goals, I think. One is the cognitive efficiency and the health aspect of it, of just staff in general, or scholars, or teachers also. And then the other aspect of it is optimizing occupancy and management of meeting rooms. This is, rooms are one of the main cost factors for every company who has an office building. And if rooms are not efficiently used, or they are booked and they are not attended or something like this, I mean, this is a huge point of cost, and we're applying deep learning algorithms to detect people presence, but I will show this later in our dashboard. Now, our hardware, I think at its core, it's our sensors. They are LoRaWAN sensors. They work on battery, so they also have a really high and low power CO2 and temperature module inside. They measure CO2, but also different volatile organic compounds, so VOCs, temperature, humidity, pressure, and now also particulate matter. So different areas of particulate matter, PM1, 2.5, and 4. Our goal is really to make automated guidance to improve the air quality, because the data provided by the sensors itself is not really of any value directly, but this automated guidance is definitely. So this is sent via LoRaWAN to the gateways, and from there via 4G transmission to our dashboards, our databases, our models, and our feedback lamp. I will also show this later on. Yeah, the batteries are very easily replaceable, and it should last up to 2 or 3 years, depending on the signal strength that it has to use the sensor, right? So if it's close to a gateway, there's really strong signal strength, we can use a low spreading factor. This will sometimes go up to 5 years of a battery lifespan. Yeah, this is an overview of the general architecture, but I think this should be clear now. Now let's start with the exact hardware a bit. So in our sensors, we have 3 different modules. 2 are from Switzerland, from Sensirion. They're made by an ETH spin-off company. They're really great. I mean, state of the art. They're used and tested with EMPA. This is a company, an institute of health in Switzerland. They are MCERT certified. Yeah, the CO2 values, the CO2 sensor and humidity temperature sensor is all in one. And I mean, yeah, this is just best in class from Japan in the category of low power sensors. So they're not, it's really difficult to get a really good sensor that uses so little power that we can take the advantage of the low power network and really use this for several years while maintaining connectivity. This is the feedback lamp. I mean, this is really the way to interact with the user of the room, right? Not with the company itself, but with who's actually using this meeting room. And it shows you with the color of the light, it shows you how the health state of the room is and for how long. So each stage of color shows you how long you have to open a window to get back to a good health state where viral infections are not have no higher infection risk. Yeah, this is just the PCB. Important about this is maybe we use Class C device. So this lamp does need power. First off, I mean, of course, it needs power because of the LED lamps. But using the Class C protocol, it really makes it extremely responsible because we are using this with downlink commands. So, and I mean, Class A and B devices have very limited capability in receiving those messages. And so with this protocol, we can react around 1 second after the message is sent. Now we also produce gateways. We have around, so we started off first, I mean, 2 years ago using the TTI network, the self-hosted version where we create our own network. This has led to a lot of overhead. So just we have to ship to every new customer in every new area a new gateway and set this up. This is why Helium is such a great match for us. But we have around 4,000 in 4 weeks and 1,500 immediately on stock. They are FCC approved, CE approved, and we've deployed around 250 of them by now in the last 2 years. And I think the goal really is to, in future, use the Helium network instead of those. But in regions where we don't have the Helium network coverage, Switzerland in some remote areas, or like not Zurich and stuff, we could deploy those as soon as they're approved for the Helium network, and we could use those to further the reach of the Helium network. I mean, this would be a really great match. Now, this is basically the heart of everything that happens here at AIRICA. It's our dashboard. I mean, it's on one side, it's customer facing, but also for us to make new orders and everything like this. I'm going to give you a quick demo of it and some pictures. So some stuff that we can analyze with our physical models and deep learning models. We can analyze the number of people in a certain room at a certain time. We can also plot this. I mean, you can see some patterns over the weeks. So for example, if you see that every Tuesday the meeting room is never used, then I mean, it would be really smart for the facility manager who has access to this platform to go look and see if somebody has some calendar entry on every Tuesday and is never attending to this meeting. I mean, this is wasted $200 every week, right? Just the room being emptied, but everybody thinks it's occupied. And then also the health aspect, we can plot this. We have it in time series stuff, and I will go over this stuff all in detail when I show you the website. I think I'm going to do this right now. So this is the dashboard. You can see here, for example, these are different rooms in this building. This stuff here is what the customer sees. These are his buildings. I mean, this customer only has one building. This is a virtual customer. I'm currently in this meeting room, and as you can see, people presence is 1, so the room is shown as occupied. And I mean, this stuff all happens automatically just from deep learning algorithms using the CO2 data and other measurements of the room quality, of the air quality. Sorry. Now, we also have some time series overviews of everything. For example, you can see here people presence. This is also, we can also access historical data with the health states of the room over a certain time period. Then for the experts in just general dangerous matters and the particulate matters, you can see here it's all green levels. So this is a really good room for, there's no small harmful particles here in this air. And yeah, also really great about this is the configuration for the user. I mean, we all register everything on the LoRaWAN network before we ship it out to the customer. So this really gives us the ease of access, right? And especially if we are on the Helium network where we don't have to ship out gateways. I mean, then the customer can basically just take the devices out, go to the room that he wants to deploy this device in, and add it down here, the sensor ID that's on the back of the sensor, save this, and as soon as that's done, the device will immediately register itself. And I mean, the setup process takes no longer than 2 minutes, and this is really our main goal, because I mean, nobody wants to do the hassle with technology and setting up everything, connecting it to its router and stuff like this. So yeah. Now to our distribution. We are working very closely with 2 other companies. So for one, we work with Phoenix Mekono. They are a huge partner of us. They have over 60 places worldwide, and this really enables us to go worldwide. When we have everything on the Helium network, we can just deploy it everywhere because everything gets assembled in those fabrics. And from there, they get immediately shipped. They have access to our dashboard and everything where we can create orders. And as soon as a new order is created, they will immediately work it off and just ship it out without us having to deal with anything of the hardware. Then our second partner is Miramiko. They have like 40 engineers all working on integrated circuits and LoRaWAN. They have over 17 years they've been doing LoRaWAN, and yeah, they are working for some big companies like IBM and Infineon, which is a huge asset for us. Now, let's go a bit into the advantages, how we can leverage the Helium network and what we can contribute to the Helium network. For us, I mean, all our devices are supported and producible in all frequency bands, so the EU, Asia, and US bands. So before, with the self-hosted version of our network, we couldn't really expand globally because, I mean, every time if some customer in America wants a gateway, first off, we have to register the gateway in America, which is some legal hassle. And then the second part of it is also, if someone has problems with installing it or anything, I mean, we can't really give support to an American customer. We can do this over Zoom or stuff, but if we would have to go visit there, I mean, this would be infeasible for us, right? So using the Helium network, we can just go worldwide. We have shipped to many countries now in our POC phase with Helium. And yeah, the second part is ease of installation, and that is reduced cost, of course. This is because we don't really, everywhere we ship where there is existing Helium network, we don't have to ship out our own produced gateways. So, and where we do ship it out is in Switzerland, where there is no network access to Helium. I mean, there is in Zurich, for example, but there are maybe some places where there is not. And I mean, there we can just deploy it on the Helium network. We can in turn mine some HNT, right, and have a reduced cost and reduced price for the customer. And we also increase the coverage of the Helium network. So it's a win-win situation for both. And then last, the ease of installation. I mean, no one wants to deal with setting up a gateway and everything of this. This is not something that the customer should have to do. And that's why, I mean, if some big company wants to have access to our products and we say, okay, but first we need to ship out some gateways, and you need to register those, and you have to make sure they have 4G access and everything like this. I mean, this takes days, and for some companies, it's just too much of a hassle to do, right? So this is perfect for us. Now in our POC phase, we have installed around 20 devices as a test on the Helium console 2.0. Great console, by the way. It has complete integration to MQTT, which is for us really important. Some LoRaWAN platforms, some network servers of other companies didn't have this, which is for us a really big criteria. And we have found for one sensor per month to create around 20,000 DC credits. So we're also bringing quite a lot of traffic onto the network. I mean, we have, up until now, we have around, or we could deliver around 1,000 sensors per week if ordered. So, I mean, this would create a huge increase in traffic on the network. And yeah, the goal is to publish all the new devices into the Helium network from now on. But the transitioning phase will probably take some months to get right and to move everything to the network. But yeah, the results of this POC were imminent because we can suddenly take orders from Ireland or Montana, US, or Rio de Janeiro, many more all over the world. And some telecom companies in Switzerland were really interested in the projects. They are also doing some LoRaWAN stuff, but in Switzerland, the coverage is not really that good of the other companies. So I think they're all really interested in this use case. And yeah, the first packages are leaving now. Yeah, thank you all for listening. I think we're going to go over to the Q&A now. So if you have any questions or stuff like this, I would be glad to go into further detail into the stuff that you have to know.
All right. Like Killian said, if you guys have any questions, drop them in the chat. Killian, I know I had someone asked like if there's any availability for India right now. You did answer that a little bit, but just as AIRICA is able to expand a little bit more with Helium, is there like a certain contact that they should use to kind of reach out to AIRICA about availability in certain countries?
We'll be sure to get back to you. I mean, you can just shoot us a mail on I will put it in the chat, or maybe Andreas can put it in the chat, the email that you can send questions to specify if it's available in your region already.
Perfect. Yep. Just drop that in the chat and people can use that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I had a question. I mean, you touched on kind of next steps. One part of that is just getting devices onto the Helium network now and up on console and things like that. Are there other next steps that AIRICA has in terms of like, you know, any sort of exciting products or anything like that that are kind of in the works right now? Things people can look forward to along with this expansion?
So one point would be our algorithm is always further with new data, always further improved. And then the second part is we are working in a beta phase on window detection. It works quite well with like around 95% accuracy in rooms under 60 square meters. This is really nice if a company wants to see how we change the behavior. So, right, I mean, if we just show on the lamp that you have to open a window, but everybody ignores it, it doesn't really use much. So the facility manager of the building can actually verify if people actually open windows and react onto these measures that we show the people.
Gotcha. What about with what you've seen with Helium? Are there certain things that you're really excited about that Helium's doing right now that you think could really help AIRICA, or just things you're excited about with the network, or things like, you know, you said console 2.0, stuff like that? Anything that stands out to you?
Yeah, me personally, I haven't worked console 2.0. This was my coworker, but I mean, the main thing for us, which is really exciting, is that Helium gives some kind of motivation for people who otherwise might have not had a public gateway, but a private one, to make this public. I think this for us is a really big insight, because we have, I mean, we can see where we have LoRa networks here in Switzerland, right? But a lot of these networks are private hosted, or most of them are private hosted. And if those gateways wouldn't be private hosted, we would have insane coverage in Switzerland. So I think as more people go to the Helium network, the better for us, because the less hardware overhead we have with gateways producing and shipping them out. And I mean, also support for gateways. Every hour support costs money, right? So yeah, getting a public network is the best thing that can happen.
Cool. I did have, here's a question right here. Will there be collaboration or integration with air purification devices to work hand in hand with air quality sensors?
We have looked into that, and I think we're working on this, but it might take some time until this happens. I'm not quite sure about if there are any dates internally set for this, but yeah, but we're certain in looking into this.
Nice. I did see one up here. Just, I don't know if you're aware of, I think a company called Planet Watch. Do you know who that is? I don't know. Someone asked, how do you compare AIRICA with Planet Watch?
It, but I'm not 100% sure. Okay. I don't know exactly what they're doing, but I think if I might be completely wrong on this, so don't take my word as a fact. I think they're collecting air data. I think a collaboration would be really cool with them. I don't think we're direct competition to them, because we are more of a service directly to the customers, and less into the business of data gathering for ourselves, or for other companies. So yeah.
All right. Yeah, someone had the same question about Planet Watch, so that's come up a few times, so I wanted to touch on that.
I'll make sure to look into this.
Cool. Yeah, a lot of people kind of have some questions about collaborations with like those air purifiers and things like that, because they're seeing potential in that type of thing. So again, I think if people have specific questions about those things, you can definitely contact AIRICA, Killian, and those guys at the email that you dropped in there.
Of course. I mean, we have also an AIRICA API. which makes it very easy for us to integrate into new third-party devices. So if you have an idea what could be really useful, just shoot us a mail.
All right. What about changing modules? Someone asks. Is that something you can answer?
Is this question for the LoRaWAN module or for the sensor modules?
Let's see, sensor modules.
Okay. I mean, as soon as new sensor models come, I mean, this question needs some background. In the factories that produce these sensor modules, we use mainly like the standard sensor module for all low power CO2 or high end CO2 sensors use. There are certain other options, but we haven't found another option that uses the same small amount of power and has the same results. But I mean, as soon as there are better modules that we find, we will be sure to integrate them, of course. I mean, we're always working on new versions of our sensors. So yeah. And I mean, we produce them together with a company called Miramiko, and they have enough manpower to also, I mean, our PCBs are very modular, so integrating a new module is not a huge step.
All right. Thank you. If anyone has any last questions, now's the time to drop them in the chat. I'm just going to pull this slide up one more time. So it has my email. It has our Vice President of Business Development's email on there, links to our GitHub, Twitter, and Discord if you want to learn more about Helium. Killian did put contact info again in the chat for AIRICA if you have any questions specifically for them that you didn't get asked here. And if there are no more questions, I want to thank Killian and Andreas for coming to this uplink, even though it's almost 10 o'clock at night their time. So appreciate that. Appreciate everyone being here. Really excited to hear more about and see updates with AIRICA as we move forward. And we'll see everyone next time on the next episode of the uplink. Thank you, everyone.
You're welcome. It was a pleasure.